Lab guy back again today with a little bit of the croup, so I sound like a 1960s disc jockey coming at you from Z104.5. I want to discuss shrinkage and planar change today. The last session we did, I said indentation was one of the largest complaints we hear about, but without a doubt, gapping and curling of the plank flooring is number one. We have many clients, large and small, and they import plank flooring to resell it. The very first thing I tell them is to test for Astm F2199 for dimensional change or planar change. The test is used to reveal dimensional and planar change if it exists in the material. ISO 23999 is the same test, just from over the pond. The basics of the test are simple. It uses a principle of oven aging to see if any of the issues of stress manifest from the aging process. We take 3 pieces, acclimate them to lab conditions, and then we measure them on a very flat, very expensive plate for size and for any initial curling or doming that may exist. We also mark and measure for length and width. We then expose the sample in a convection oven. That means air is moving around inside. Let me pause here for some levity. It's hard to mention an oven without talking about my wife a little bit, because when we moved into our current house, there were 2 ovens, a Dutch oven. And she asked me, why would anyone ever need 2 ovens? So needless to say, I have hidden her Christmas and birthday presents in the oven, and they've never been found until I revealed them. Anyway, okay, back to the test. After the oven period is complete, the specimens are left on a plate for 24 hours to reacclimate back to the lab conditions of 70 degrees. Once that acclimation period is over, the conditions are then measured again for their length and their width change, if any. And they also measure the planar change. There are several ways that can be done. Most people use feeler gauges, but there's even electronic software that you can use to measure those changes in plane. ASTM F3261 specifies requirements for rigid core products, and it does have a maximum planar change allowance of 2 millimeters. ASTM 1700 provides dimensional change requirements for vinyl squares or planks, but it does not have any planar change statement. LabGuy does believe that this test can reveal stresses, but it may not be the only way to produce those results. So here's my issue. This test is really only an indicator and may not reveal the entirety of the story at hand. Number one, the sampling size of 3 planks may not reveal the entire issue. If only 10% of the floor covering is curled or shrunk in the installation, then that would mean LabGuy has a 1 in 10 chance of finding that plank that has the problem. A much larger sampling would help to reveal or predict if issues do exist in this entire lot of material. Number 2, when you examine the actual claims in real life, and believe me, LabGuy gets a lot of them, there is a commonality. That commonality always comes up in that a material with the most problem is in an atrium or has direct sunlight, is near a window, a door with glass. This is almost always the case in every complaint mentioned to LabGuy. There is a test that does examine this type of heat, which is called radiant heat, top down, not entire heat all the way around like the convection oven. This test probably needs to be enacted more here in the U.S. because I do believe it may be a better predictor of materials that might show an issue. Number 3, many manufacturers blame the on-site conditions for the curling, specifically pointing out moisture and alkalinity in the slab. So if they choose to blame water and alkalinity, there should be a test to show this is the cause, right? It seems logical. Well, there is. This issue can be addressed using another European norm that exposes the material to an alkaline water bath, and it reports any change in the size or plane during that entirety of the exposure. Running all three of these tests would be a better insight to the actual source of any planar change that is occurring. Lab guy likes to tell the truth. Lab guy likes to know the truth. And if you want to know the truth, just ask the lab guy.